everybody, welcome to Fresh Baked Disney, the best of Disney Baked Fresh Daily. I'm your host David, and I am here in the front of Tomorrowland on a Saturday morning because Tomorrowland is back in the news. I know it's the holiday season, but you guys have been getting plenty of holiday stuff from us. I've got some non-holiday stuff to continue with because I got some stuff to talk about when it comes to Tomorrowland. Some things broke for me personally that I find very interesting, and I want to have a conversation about those. To get Ron's opinion, I'm here with Ron this morning. No Ian, by the way. Ian is Walt Disney World, that lucky son of a gun.
I'm a little bit jealous.
He's going to get to ride Rise of the Resistance before any of us.
I know.
Well, hopefully, if it opens.
Let's not talk to him until January 17th.
I know, right? I'm so jealous.
I know.
And apparently, Adam the Woot, too, is going to be there. He's leaving in a couple days to go there as well. Lucky guy.
I know, very well.
Okay, so Ron, now I know we did already a video about the new entrance. If we look here at Tomorrowland, it's obviously much more wide open. Everybody appreciates that. Everybody appreciates that thing that was right in the middle. You know, because some folks are like, hey, well, I don't get it. Well, what's the big deal? They took out the French fry rocks on the left and the right, but they still put those planters there. They're still blocking. That was only part of it. The main thing was Mary Poppins and Bert clog in the middle of the French fry rocks. This is such an odd thing. I always see them walking through Tomorrowland.
I know,
it trips me out.
1965 tomorrow?
But yeah, the French fry rocks right down the middle were really the main thing that kind of blocked the entrance. But more so than that was the actual Astral Orbiter.
Right.
Which, okay, you know what? I want to start with that. Ron, can you imagine a world where the Astral Orbiter is somewhere else?
It's hard to imagine that world, but I want to see that world.
Yes.
It is an eyesore right in the middle of a path.
It so is. I mean, they want it to be, you know, that Walt Disney, the weenie, that draws your attention. But I don't think that enough people really give a rip about the Astro Orbitor to want to say, oh, what's that over there in Tomorrowland?
Right. Well, that's just it. Is if we're here constantly. For those that are coming here as a destination location, and they come here, they go to Tomorrowland, and the first thing they see is something that looks archaic.
No, I'm not down with it. I'm not down with it at all. You know, I enjoy the ride more or less.
Yeah.
But I don't like the way it looks, and I don't like where it is. Okay, but that's kind of a sidebar question because by now everybody has heard of the new entrance that they're designing. They've got some concept art over here, which asks a lot of questions. The concept art answers some questions, but it also asks a lot of questions. Namely, why does it look the way it does? Okay, so obviously the question is, in a vacuum, I approve of the new pieces, the new grass, the new topper. I mean, it's not. Some people thought they might get something like they get at Disney World. Have you seen this Tomorrowland entrance for Walt Disney World?
I thought
it wasn't that. Which I mean, that's pretty cool. I thought it looked good.
Right. Well, I thought that because they had that spot and this spot.
Yeah, they might connect it.
Begged for one of those.
But the two things are just, there's such a juxtaposition there.
Right.
The fact that, I mean, the grass and the art, the postmodern sterile pieces of art, you know, the white topper thing there, does not at all rhyme with what's behind it, the Astro Orbiter, which begs the question, why?
I don't know.
And obviously, and I think the answer is because they have another plan.
Agreed.
They must. And by the way, most people agree, Ron, and I think you might too, that this is very reminiscent of the style of Tomorrowland from the 60s, from the late 60s,
right.
After, you know, the new Tomorrowland, World on the Move is what they called it, or Tomorrowland on the Move, when they brought in the People Mover and the monorail and the Skyway. And you go look at old art of Tomorrowland Terrace, or old pictures of Tomorrowland Terrace, and you can see that art piece there was seen everywhere. That little topper was all over Tomorrowland, or similar to it.
Yeah, I didn't even notice until you pointed it out, but that really brings an Easter egg nostalgic feel to it, which I'm totally on board with. But by default, I was so against the French fry rocks, just visually, it just wasn't appealing to me. So when I look at this, like you said it well, in a vacuum, I think it looks great.
You take out everything else, it looks good.
Right.
You put the Astro Orbiter in behind it, and you're like, gross.
Yeah, I think just because I'm always the eternal optimist, I like to believe that there's always a plan. So I feel like there's
a plan.
this is how they're presenting the entrance, and things are going to fall in line with this slowly. I don't know how it's going to happen, but there's a bigger picture where this will make sense at some point.
Well, in a little bit later on, I'll tease this now in a little bit, but somebody had pointed out episode 4 of the Imagineering story was released on Disney Plus yesterday as we filmed this, and there's a little Easter egg in episode 4. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but there's an Easter egg with Joe Rohde that I'm going to get to. So Fresh Bake, if you want to talk about that, just hang with me, because we're going to get to there. We're going to get to that point in a little bit, but there is support, Ron.
Right.
There is support. Disney provided support that they've got a plan.
And that's my favorite show on Disney Plus. And I haven't seen it because
you
it was
haven't seen 4
decorated.
yet? No, I know.
I'm so upset right now.
Yeah. To me, the question is, obviously, Astral Orbiter, as constituted, doesn't rhyme with that concept. And it's funny that we're trying to make this happen, because that's just a little bit of grass and one piece of art. And we're saying all of Tomorrowland now has to change because of that little thing right there. But you can't help it. I mean, what other choice do we have when we think about it, right? I would probably be okay if they left it here, as long as they reskinned it, obviously.
I think they have.
Maybe like the 1968 jet. You know, what they call it, the Astro Jets back then, I think.
My initial thought was the colors that we're seeing on
the red, white, and blue.
Well, the colors from the concept art, they have to start to, somehow they have to have some semblance of aesthetics working together.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that means, because there's color wheel where the opposite colors work.
Sure. The contrast, which works in design. But yeah, I would be good if they just reskinned it. Give me some new rockets. Give me some, just what if? What if they did decide to go to a retro, 68?
Right. That'd be great.
I think I'd be okay with that.
Oh, I'd be so okay with that.
I think I would. You can't chase the future, man.
I would be so okay with that, because the truth of the matter is that what is the point of this? There's nothing, there's no theme, it's just color slap.
They tried it because it worked.
It has the solar, it has the zodiac signs on them. That's about the closest thing to it.
Well, this was supposed to be part of an overall, because remember Space Mountain was copper.
Right.
The whole land was supposed to be that Jules Vernean theme that worked in Paris, but it doesn't work here. It didn't work at all. We rejected it hardcore, but for some reason this lingered. The Astral Orbiter, the theming of that stayed, as well as that monstrosity up there.
Exactly.
We're talking about things that may or may not survive a Tomorrowland remodel. The Astral Orbiter may survive. It depends on what kind of attraction they try to bring in, i.e. Tron. Right. That's the elephant in the room when it comes to, remodeling Tomorrowland. Will they or will they not bring in Tron? Because the Tron is a real estate devourer. Yeah. It leaves a huge footprint, and it would consume a lot of.
Hi, how are you?
It would consume a lot of the available space here. So some things would have to go in order to make room for that. The talk was having the Tron track, move around the land, and it would go over and through these areas right here, and it would probably destroy Astro Orbiter.
Well, that's just it. It would become Tronland, because Tomorrowland would be Space Mountain.
So true. But if they don't do that, I'm kind of okay with them reskinning, certain attractions and then gutting other ones.
Some reskinning would be a delight. Like I think you agree. Like Autopia, a new reskinning theme on that would be super cool. Like Tesla or whatever the thing is.
That's actually where we're going. We're going to go ride Autopia right now. You see, I have to agree with Rod. When Rod suggested that there is a future for Autopia in a remodeled Tomorrowland, I agree, and it's because I think that it does fit in a retro Tomorrowland theme. I was asked to reconcile the idea that I don't believe that Buzz Lightyear fits in Tomorrowland at all, because it's not a space movie. He's not a space character. He's a toy in the modern world. why does that not fit, but Autopia does? And it's because of the retro theme. You put a skin on Autopia that could fit this. It could fit. You just have to dress it differently. You have to take out the Jules Vernian type elements, which there are many in Autopia. Give it a proper aesthetic, and you've got something here. By the way, you probably have to take out the gas vehicles, of course. And I want to see a future where Autopia is still here, because there is so much value add to this kind of attraction. We talk about the things that are missing at Galaxy's Edge, and what's missing is fun rides for kids. And that, you think that it's just a dark ride or just a spinner like Dumbo or Astral Orbiter. But this is an exceptional kids ride, and I think it would have a future. To burn down Autopia for Tron, let's say, I don't know. I think you lose something. By the way, you can't see it. I don't think you're gonna be able to see it, but Peter 2 is just 2 cars behind me. I'm so happy to be riding Autopia, kind of, with Peter 2. He's back there, so well, maybe now we'll see him. Consider my position on Autopia. I stalled out at the exit there. You know what? I love Autopia and the gas cars and all that.
Right.
You know what? Maybe we should get electric.
Yeah. And then I got off. I looked. Not a car within eyes distance, and we were number 1.
Yeah.
Like, where's
There's
the rest?
nobody. I was out there all by myself. I'm like, it's not me. I swear my car won't go. Time for gas cars to end.
Yeah, but the noise. How do we get electric cars that keep the noise?
I've long maintained that that's one of the allures. For some people can't stand the noise or the smell. For me, that's part of the tactile.
Even those. Yeah, I totally agree, because I do think that those people, they don't know until they're experiencing it.
Yeah.
If they were here and they didn't hear it, it would be eerie and weird.
The silence is deafening.
The silence is deafening.
Now, but having said that, I think that you could build I think we talked about this once before, you could build an Autopia vehicle that had a radio or something like that could, transmit what could make a fake engine noise, or just have a different kind of sound coming out, like a radio transmission of some kind.
Or go Guardians of the Galaxy and just blast music.
Well, yeah, who knows? Okay, so as I was saying on the ride, I do feel like that there is a possible future for Autopia with the proper amount of care, and that the one thing that this offers more than any other kind of attraction you could put in here in its place. Sure, you could put a big fat e-ticket or a state-of-the-art attraction, but you lose so much. And watch the Imagineering story, especially episode 4, which you haven't seen yet. But they talk about one of the reasons why DCA failed. It was because you can have a checklist of a ride should be this, and this. A theme park should answer all these questions, and you could have 7.2 rides per day, and it should have an average wait time of 22 minutes, and it could satisfy all those needs for a guest to visit a park. But what you can't measure are intangible things, like just the way you feel.
Exactly right.
The way you feel when you're in an attraction, and you can't. This is one of those, I think.
It is, and I think this is one of the ones least likely to go away to that point, and because it's truly the one type of ride where kids and adults can enjoy it equally, and you need something for the kids.
And it's not just a spinner or a dark ride; it's a whole different.
Thriving.
Yeah,
it's so cool when you're a kid. It's so cool.
It's all about that. All right, I got to show you something here, because we talked earlier about the art of the new entrance and how it reminded me of Tomorrowland on the Move from the late 60s.
Right.
Let's go back to Tomorrowland Terrace. We're talking about the art. Right. That little piece of postmodern, vintage 1968 style art that was on top, the topper.
Right.
And how it reminded me of that. And I'm like, what if what if they brought that back?
I didn't even notice it until you pointed it out. Now I'm in love with it as an Easter egg. And it's super cool.
It's been here the whole time.
I know.
I don't know if this is some kind of Mandela thing.
Bringing it back, it never left.
It never left. Look at that.
I know. I didn't notice that. That was a very keen eye.
Well, the Tomorrowland Terrace, I'm not sure, they built that right around the same time, 68, so I have to imagine that was part of the aesthetic.
Yeah.
In 68. Or whatever that was, what year I don't, you know, I looked up this, it just blows my mind.
It does, because like we were talking about earlier, I've been staring at this thing for years, and I had no idea. They put that concept art out in the front, you look at it, I had no idea that I had already been looking at that for all these years. It seemed like a new thing, so it's cool.
Well,
and it speaks to a bigger plan.
It does. Well, we're still not wrong in the sense that invalidates the conversation that they could go for a retro theme, a retro Tomorrowland theme, because that is still retro Tomorrowland. That Tomorrowland Terrace is retro.
Right. They're keeping to their roots when it comes to that, for sure. That nostalgia, that always helps.
Because you put that, that's why this is why Tomorrowland doesn't work, because again, you've got this is that, you know, what do you call it, steampunk Jules Verne type theme that they got going here.
That's bad. They can't make that work ever in no way, shape, or form.
No. And it's everywhere. You got, look at this, the copper, you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't, it's just a handrail. It's just a handrail, and this thing is so But it drives me bananas.
It's so
you can't, look at, you just can't mix the two.
No, you can't.
You can't.
It was an impossible challenge that he bestowed upon himself in the past.
And this is why, you know, it's hard for people to have that conversation, well, for me, because there are so many things about Disneyland and Tomorrowland where it's hard to articulate.
Right.
It's hard to say, you know, it's intangible, like we were just saying,
right.
you know, over there, that you don't know why it works.
Right.
It just does. Joe Rohde, in the opening, episode 4, he says,
you need to see that.
At the very beginning of the episode, he says, we can put in all of our intelligence into making a piece of art here in Tomorrowland. I'm paraphrasing, but
right.
He said, at the end of the day, it's not up to us if it's good. It's up to you. It's up to the guest to say this is good and that isn't. And I alluded to that in another video I did before on a different topic, but all I can do is make the art, and then it's left for the consumer to judge it.
It's true.
And say whether or not you can't do it by numbers.
You can't do it by numbers, but with the field that they're in, I think they're so passionate about it. They stick to their roots, stick to their guns, and say what they build, create what they want to see, what they love. That's the
only way it can work.
That's how art works.
Yeah.
So the tweaking and adjusting or whatever, that they can do that at a later date, but just make the thing that speaks to you, and we'll come.
This is why Tomorrowland today is failing. Well, I don't know about failing. It's still pretty busy, but that's because they have so many attractions here. There's like 19 attractions in Tomorrowland, but it fails as a consumable place to be. Where there's like DCA, they just checked a bunch of boxes, but they didn't really tell a story. They didn't really make us feel a certain way.
Right.
It's just empty. It's empty of something.
It's that hope. It's that ambition. It's like that notion of what Tomorrowland represents and what it is. And I don't know that we'll ever be satisfied because it's creating something that we don't know about. It doesn't exist yet.
Listen to the music they play in Tomorrowland, and that is the message that you need to match the visuals to that message. The great big beautiful tomorrow. They still play that music in Tomorrowland. The music is very hopeful. It's very forward thinking. It's very positive. But I don't feel that way when I walk around Tomorrowland.
It still feels nostalgic. It still feels like a throwback, even though they're talking about tomorrow.
All right, I got another thing to show you. We've got lots more videos for you to see, so grab a churro and check out some of our other videos and have your mind blown by how much fun we're having. We truly are the best of Disney Bake Fresh Daily. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and we'll see you next time. Fresh Baked!